Good morning, y'all. Good morning to you. Let me know that you guys are watching.
Recording in progress. And one thing that I really like and appreciate about WISPIS, and this was even prior to working for WISPIS, is we were a small community bank, but it was almost as if everyone knew your name. So when you walked into the bank or when you walked into any of the branches or you had meetings, we knew who you were. Okay. And I think we take pride in that. It goes with our culture. And it's good for the relationship building for moving forward. This is just a little oversight, just to give you a little background. We do have a policy that we have to follow and that we're governed by for the board of directors, along with our regulators, and audit. There's a program that was recently created by myself and the team. We actually implemented it about maybe a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. We're going into the second year. And then we have procedural guidelines. So everything that we do, literally, when the regulators come in, they're looking at it to a T. So what exactly is that? This is the launch of this. So you can half of the thing. So I try to pick down the high level things that my team takes care of.
Nodella, what's happening with you? Good to see you, black man. Leroy McKenzie Jr.
Moaning.
Moaning to you. The numbers are climbing. It's always good. Good morning to Lottie. Lottie's the man. Dottie. Dottie's the woman. And everybody. Yes. Do me a favor. Like, share, comment. We want to keep everybody as engaged as possible. I am both in this moment doing the podcast. This is what you have to do sometimes, right? I'm in this moment doing a podcast, and at the same time, I am watching my daughter give a presentation at her bank. It's important that we be there for our kids. And she's such a brilliant young lady. I'm just really, really proud of her. She told her mother and I at the last minute, but it don't matter. When she first said it, I kind of get on, as you know, Leroy, I kind of get on her nerves, right? So when she first said, "Hey, hey, y'all, I'm giving a presentation. I want you guys to be a part of it." I said, "Is it on Zoom? Like how can I be a part of it?" And she said, "Dad, do you read?" I'm like, "No, I graduated by looking at the Cliff Notes. I had the, I had the Cliff Notes." Yeah. So okay, I see many of you coming in. Do me a favor. Y'all know the rules. Y'all, come on. Y'all know the rules when you're watching, right? There we go. Epps said good morning. Epps know the rules. Nodella said, hey, everyone. She know the rules. Epps, tell the rest of the people what the rules are, man. Tell the people what the rules are. When you come in someone's house, what's the rules? Nodella podcast. Thank you so much, sis. I am, yeah, Nodella. Tell the people. You speak. You speak. And if you don't speak, then get out my house. If you can,
See,
say hello.
grandmama gonna tell you go outside and get a switch.
But they sit right there in the heat of the summer on this plastic on this couch, and I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna get this switch, and it's almost like you don't have the like the most embarrassing thing that I've ever experienced is having to sit on my or lay across my mother's lap while she beat me with a belt that she had to hold with two hands. So she couldn't hold me down and beat me. Right? She had to. Do you know how embarrassing it is? I just want to ask y'all. Do you know how embarrassing it is to have to lay there and take it? Like, don't grab the belt. Don't act like you're about to get up. Like, you got to lay there and take it. I had to lay there and take it. Somebody's laughing at me. Y'all rude, man. Y'all, half the stuff that we went through is illegal in most states. It's
Oh my God.
States. It's not legal. And my mother was of the opinion, hey, look, call the cops. And if they got a problem with how I'm raising you, they can take you.
They can take you. Yeah. Take them with you. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, they can.
And I bet that was a no every single time too. No, ma'am.
every single time, bro. Every single time. Nodella said it was illegal, but we didn't even think about trying to grab the belt. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
You can grab it if you want to. You can
make it worse. It really is going to make it worse. It's going to lengthen the session because every spanking is a full session. For real. When you had a parent like mine that spanked you in syllables, did anybody have a parent like mine that spanked you in syllables? Didn't I tell you not?
That was the original. Moms was the original rappers. You know what I'm saying? On beat.
On beat, bro.
Every time.
Yeah, we got lectured while we were being spanked.
For real.
In fact, if my oldest son, Keshad, was on, Hunter too, I had a method to spanking, right? So I would have a conversation with my sons, right? And I would say, hey, do you know what you did wrong? And they would say yes or no. Most times it was yes. I know what I did wrong. You know,
and I'll kind of get into it a little bit. It is contingent upon your risk rating. So
you have to. My daughter killing it. I love her. So it's crazy because you have to, right? You. What was I saying, Leroy? What was I talking about?
You talking about getting beat? Getting this.
So the way I spank my sons, I would spank my sons in a way that it was very systematic. You know what you did wrong? Yes, sir. You know Dad gotta do something about that, right? Yes, sir. Lay across my lap. 1, 2, 3. He shed some tears. He would get up. I would hold his hand and pray. And then I would hug him, kiss him on his forehead, and tell him going about his day. never to mention it again. There was never ever a time where we mentioned that again, right? That is the systematic way of the Morton household that I would spank. I never spanked in anger. I didn't do any of that. As you guys are coming in, do me a favor, say good morning, tell us who you are, where you're watching from. Yeah, I never spanked in anger. Tramel said, don't have your mother have to leave work and come to the school. You
That's
get
another one.
off of you.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna turn out too well for you.
You gonna get the brakes. You gonna get the brakes beat off of you. Keith Lewis, what's happening, man? Good to see you. How is it in New York? Hey, man, I'm interested in how it is in New York in comparison to Oklahoma. Are you enjoying the transition? Is it a big transition? Do you not like it? Tell me, type in the chat, man. Let me know how the transition is going. Because that really is a drastic change. Keith Lewis says, I got spanked with a 1930 leather belt and then went to. Oh, man. 1930 leather belt. And then you go to the room. And let me tell you what you don't do. Leroy, hey Keith, you ever experienced this? Nodella, Tramel, y'all ever experienced this? You want me to give you something to cry about?
Yep, yes, sir. Yes,
Like,
sir.
yeah,
That's in the handbook, bro. That's in the handbook with the switch. With going and picking your own switch. That's in the handbook.
you want me to give you something to cry about? I thought you just did. Wait. I thought you
Yep.
just did. Right? Stop that crime. And then you
Yep.
as a child, anybody, I want to know who had the most ugly cry out of all of us. Who had the most ugly cry, right? In other words, did you there's a meme out there, Leroy, of a black man sitting at a table. I forget what it's about because I actually seen the episode, but he actually does this. It's the
Now I'm gonna do you one. I'm gonna do you one better. The one, which cries this one?
that note.
or the long one where your mouth is open but you ain't saying nothing.
Yes. Yeah, sure. That's
we can say what we want though,
bro. I
and
was going to say the same thing. Yeah, go ahead.
you can say what you want, but those disciplines, which is what it is, and some people go too far with it. You can't be abusive to your child, but you must discipline your child so that they do know what they aren't supposed to do, and that there's accountability for your actions and things that you do. That's life.
Yeah, for
We're
sure.
better. I believe we are better because of what our parents and grandparents and how they
For sure.
disciplined us.
For sure. And
This day
I
and
mean, to your
time.
point, we've got some parents. Uh, it's not the extension cord; it's the stenching cord, right? If you got beat with a stenching cord,
Yes.
racetrack,
Yep.
yeah, Hot Wheels racetrack. If that was your lot, I'm praying for you. You've been traumatized. Keith Lewis says the transition is going well. Started off a little rough, but it's smoothing out now, getting adjusted to the weather. Right, bro. Oklahoma is a lot slower and more
Yeah.
conservative. It's not conservative here, which I prefer. Really, yeah, it's the exact opposite for me, man. When I got here to Georgia, Delaware is incredibly progressive and liberal. Um, Delaware, but here in Georgia is far more conservative, and I prefer a conservative environment, right? But I'm glad the transition is going well. You know what, Keith, man, what's crazy is I genuinely did not know of the weather in Oklahoma. Like I was under the impression that in Oklahoma, um, the weather was warm all the time. Right? I was the same way when I came to Georgia. I thought it was warm all the time. It's
No,
not.
sir.
Like it's
Nah, it
cold in
get
Georgia, it's cold in Oklahoma.
yeah, it gets chill. Well, nah, Oklahoma. Yeah, that's Midwest. They
Oklahoma
get
is
they
cold,
yeah.
bro. They get
Yeah, but
snow
but
and everything.
Georgia gets cold. They don't I don't think they get well, they certainly don't get as much bad weather as we get up here. And that's evident because they have no like snow plans. Let it snow down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Y'all in
yeah.
trouble.
Everything just completely stops, right?
Stops. And folks I know folks
That,
can't drive up here. They really can't drive down there.
yeah, 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 for sure. So, but it gets. I remember my first several months here. Um, it like rained every day. I'm like, this is crazy. And I had to get adjusted to the fluctuation in temperature. I had to get adjusted to, and let me tell y'all a story. I need y'all to get somebody in the room for this story. Right before Leroy comes on with his blackety black history moment, and I'm interested in who we're going to hear about today. Um, One of my first times here, let's see, Oklahoma have about 2 snow days. It gets cold, aka 30s, but it starts getting back warmer in March. I'm sure it's the same in Georgia. Yeah, it is, bro. It really, really is. But I admittedly, man, I came to Georgia expecting that, look, it's gonna be warm like Florida. That's what
Yeah.
I was expecting. It was gonna be warm like Florida
Mm.
all year round, or like Cali. And I don't know where I got that from. It was just kind of a misunderstanding about Georgia. But Leroy, I remember going to a meeting with a group of people we were attempting to kind of do business with at Remain here in Georgia. Um, and one lady in the middle of the meeting, it was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 black people, 3 or 4 white people, right? And one of the white ladies said, a part of what we've got to begin to think about is how you coloreds really think about. So one of the black ladies said, "Did she just call us coloreds?" Leroy, this my first week in Georgia, and so the black girl said, "Did you just call us coloreds?" And she said, "Yes." What? See, like, and then she wasn't trying to be smart. She really wasn't. She wasn't trying to be nasty. She said,
That's what
"Oh,
she do.
what is the language? Is it black? Is it colored? Is it like I don't know." She turned beet red, right? And we had to say to her, "Yeah, it's out of all of those that you just mentioned, African American, black, yeah, colored ain't it. Don't."
Yeah, colored and Negro are certainly not it. Them two words, yeah, no, no,
so
no.
so she almost got her behind kicked.
But see, here's the thing, and and we're not going down a rabbit hole with this. But here's the thing: we we get upset when other communities call us these words, but
Mhm.
yet we'll call each other
Because
those
they're different
words.
meanings, though.
No, no.
They
To
are.
me, it's
They're
to
different
me, it's
meanings.
not. Yeah,
I
to
mean,
me,
to
it's
you,
not.
they're not, but for others, they're different meanings. It's a different meaning when I call a brother a nigger, right? And it's a different meaning when a white person says nigger, because the reasons for which and the why for which we are saying it are incredibly different.
But see,
Very, very different.
here's what I say to that. That they in that example of the lady, the lady that you just gave is a perfect example.
Hmm.
We teach people how to address us. So if other people are seeing us address each other that way, they are going to take it as I can address them that way because that's the, as she said, what's the language? That's the language. Dr. King said it, and I love what we've got to get the language right.
Yeah,
If we
I agree
don't,
with getting the
you know,
language right, but she didn't call us a nigga. She called us colored. We don't call one
right?
another colored. We don't call one another's colored. And in fact,
Yeah,
they were
but we
calling us
used to,
niggas
didn't we
long
used to,
before.
didn't we used to call each other colors?
No. Well,
We
back
never
in
called
the day,
even. I mean,
back
that's
in
what I'm
the day,
saying. Yeah,
yeah,
back in the
years
day
and
we
years
did.
ago.
Yeah,
But we didn't
yeah.
come up with the term niggers.
No, not at
We
all.
didn't come up with that. So they were doing that long before we adopted and owned the phrase. Right. And I think that there's room for the conversation on both sides because I've heard both sides of the argument. And I don't have a disagreement with your position at all. People that say, hey, we need to kind of step away. We need to step away from using the word. But I argue that using the word amongst ourselves in no way emboldens them to use the word. They've been using the word before we use the word. So it doesn't give them permission to do it. They've taken permission to do it. Right. And what white people have to understand and other people have to understand is this. You can't always do what I do. You can't. You can't always do what I do. So if I call, for example, my mom told the story of my great grandma Leroy, and there was always a um like they had insurance salesmen back then, right? That would actually come to your house, and an insurance salesman came to the house, and he called my my grandmother Mona, my great grandmother Mona, and she is like, "No, sir. Well, isn't that your name? It is to them, but it's not to you." Right? In other words, call me by my last name in the same way that you can't do what they do. You can't do what they do. You are a foreigner in my house, right? So so whether a person chooses to adopt the philosophy that we own the word, we call each other, take the sting out of the word. I've heard that philosophy, and I've heard the philosophy that you've just stated, and that is, man, let's stop using the word altogether. There's no redeemable value in the word. So let's just stop using the word altogether. I've heard Roland Martin say that. Like, let's don't use the word, right? But let's not pretend that our use of the word gives permission for them to use the word with us. Nah, they were using the word long before we were using the word, long before. So as Black people, the LGBTQIA plus community did the same thing. They owned the word queer, right? People were calling them queer. They owned the word queer, made it a part of their vocabulary, right? So I don't have a dog in the fight one way or the other. For those that say, hey, let's not use the word, I'm okay with that. Um, but for those that say, we can use the word and they can't, yeah, they can, because they mean different things when we say it, mean different, very, very different things. So good morning to y'all. This has been good. Even before we put the hoodies up, this is what we do. I was talking with someone yesterday who said, Ronnie, actually, brother Ronnie, and Ronnie, he is a coach inside Remain, a relationship coach inside Remain. And he was saying, boy, y'all in that Grown Man podcast, man. He said, when y'all put the hoodies up, he said, that's so dope. It's about to get real. It's about to get real. So we thank you guys for spending time with us every day. Yeah, we thank you for spending time with us every day. I'm looking forward to hearing what Leroy's got to say. Can I just be honest with y'all? I ain't even feeling it today. And that's the reason why I've got the topic today that I have. What's a man to do? What do you do when you ain't feeling it? What do you do when you got to show up and you don't feel like showing up? That's what we're going to talk about when we put the hoodies up. I'm interested in what Leroy would say. I'm interested in what y'all would say. I'm asking y'all to pray for me. I just ain't feeling it. I don't feel good today. Is that okay to say on the Grown Man podcast? That's a grown man statement. That's an authentic statement. I don't feel good today. I don't feel good every day, but I still show up, do what I got to do, even when I don't feel well. So, Leroy, that's what we're going to talk about today, man. But the floor is yours, my kind sir, my older brother, my ancient of days. The floor, the floor is yours.
That's all right, though. That's all right. I got my EALP card before you, so. Let's get into it, y'all. I got today. This isn't a person. This is a part of the movement that I thought was very important, the civil rights movement that I wanted to bring today, and it has to do with individuals, but it is a part of the movement, and it's for those that may not be familiar, because we doing stuff that y'all might not really have heard about here in
Right.
these segments here, so doing the blackety black segment of the Grown Man podcast. But this has
Absolutely.
to do with and I don't know if how familiar you are with it, Donald, since you are older than me. I think you would, I think you were a part of I think you were a part of this. Matter of fact, I think you were locked arm step and arm in arm with Jesse when you when this was going on. So Martin said, Jesse, take Donald with you.
If I was there, I was a baby. So when he said take Donald with you, he said, "Do you want me to carry him to the
but there was a part of the civil rights movement. As a part of the civil rights movement, it was called, there was a part of that what was created was called Operation Breadbasket. And I don't know if you all are familiar with it, but Operation Breadbasket was an initiative that was aimed to address economic issues and promote civil rights in the 1960s. See, I told you he was there, y'all. Um, it was an economic arm of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC, led by Reverend Jesse Jackson. The primary focus was on improving economic conditions for African Americans by encouraging businesses to hire more Black employees and to purchase goods and services from Black-owned businesses. This initiative sought to leverage the economic power of the African American community to bring about positive change. Operation Breadbasket
right?
negotiated with businesses, urging them to implement fair employment practices and contribute to the economic development of Black communities. The program achieved notable success in several cities, including Chicago and Atlanta, where it helped increase job opportunities for African Americans and fostered economic empowerment. It played a significant role in the broader civil rights movement by addressing economic inequality as a crucial aspect of the struggle for equal rights. The legacy of Operation Breadbasket lives on, influencing subsequent movements that recognize the intertwined nature of economic and civil rights issues. There's a book that I read last year, year before, called Operation Breadbasket, and
Okay.
it talks of one of the. If you don't have any other books in your library, you need to have Dr. King's book, Chaos and Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. You need to have Operation Breadbasket. You need to have the Bible, and then you need to have the Remand book. Those are must-haves in your library.
Wow. Wow, thank you.
because Operation Breadbasket talks about what the economic movement that was a part of the civil rights movement and what they were able to do. But as you and I talk about, Don, all the time, it wasn't sustainable. They didn't follow up. They didn't follow through on the structure of what they had created with
Yes,
Operation
sir.
Breadbasket. It
Yes.
really didn't. And I brought up Reverend Jesse Jackson because Dr. King gave him this assignment to take on this. And they had it set up, as they mentioned, in a couple of cities, Chicago and Atlanta. I didn't realize about Atlanta because the book kind of focuses on Chicago
Yes, sir.
and what they did in Chicago. And here's something that people might not understand either, and I'm going to get to him, but Reverend Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition,
Yes.
he
By
wasn't
the
the
way,
originator of it.
Rainbow Push Coalition was just turned over to Freddie Haynes.
Yes, sir. I don't know if you saw his inauguration. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Brother Pastor Freddie Haynes ain't no joke, bruh.
Yeah. Love him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Him and Pastor he's in Chicago as well. He took over the church that Jeremiah Wright was at. Moss. It was
Randy Moss.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not Randy
No, it
Moss.
is not Randy Moss. Don't do him like that.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Phenomenal.
Otis Moss. Otis Moss the third.
Otis Moss
the third. But those are two brothers, and I was thinking about them as I was thinking about and the two pastors that have this fusion of the church and the civil rights movement. Yeah, and the greatness that they're doing. But what a lot of people don't realize that Rainbow Coalition organization wasn't really Jesse Jackson's idea. It actually came from Fred Hampton. He actually that if you watch Judas and the Black Messiah,
the structure of it.
Yeah, because he pulled people from the different communities.
Yes.
And it was I think Jesse Jackson got the structure from him.
Yes.
And he called it the Rainbow Coalition. But Fred Hampton is the one that kind of was the initiator of it, because he pulled the different communities together, wanted us to work together and all of us together to go against what was going on back in the civil rights movement at that time. It's deep, bro. I love it. I love it. But Operation Breadbasket was a great plan to get us, because it charged those businesses that I talked about with having to hire a certain number of us.
Okay.
And these were businesses that were in our neighborhood.
Okay.
They said, look, if you're going to be in our neighborhood, then you're going to have to hire a certain number of us. Mm-hmm. If we're going to do business with you, then the money that we're spending with you, you need to hire us in these positions. Mm-hmm. They leveraged the power that we had, our economic power that we had, to be able to force the businesses during that time. And they talk about it in the book, that they forced them at that time to do certain things. It's like, yeah, we're going to boycott. We'll take, and I've said this before, we're going to take this company because it's on the shelf in our store, in our neighborhood, in the stores in our neighborhood. And if you don't want to talk to us, we will not support your business. We will buy something. We will find another company that supplies the same thing and buy it from them. Support
Isn't
them
that a tremendous
on the shelf.
Though it's a tremendous arrogance on the business's part to want to accept our patronage and not employ our people. Like that like that's arrogant.
Is it arrogance, or is it what we started our conversation today about, what we teach people how to treat us?
So I think it can be both, right? I think it genuinely can be both. But there's nothing like the privilege of whiteness. Mm-hmm. And let me before y'all come for me, before Facebook cancel the podcast or anything like that, I'm not against white people. I'm really not. I am. I've got some great friends that are white. I have healthy respect for several white people. Tim Wises of the world, right? Paula Moriano, right? People that have become friends of mine over the years who have proven to be friends or at least friendly toward Black cause. So I don't have any challenges with the collective white people, right? I have a problem with privilege though, that you would establish a business in my hood. And by the way, to your point, which I will lean over there because I think it's an important point to make, that we still have that going on today, that our Asian community comes in our communities, sell us all the stuff we make, and don't hire us at all. They hire their family members, right? They got a system, they got a plan. So I think we have the responsibility, again, to your point, Leroy. We have a responsibility to teach them how to treat us. And at the same time, there can be a tremendous arrogance for you to set up your little ice cream shop and then say, colored, buy this ice cream. And then I'll come to fill out an application so somebody like me that looks like me can sell to the people that looks like me, which, by the way, would boost profits because we have this habit of supporting one another, right? It boosts profits, but you say, nah, can't hire you because of the color of your skin, but you can take my dollar. Almost put my middle finger up, Leroy. Just right there. In my mind, I put my middle finger up.
Both of them.
Do it in front of you because you
both of them.
both of them. Yeah.
But that's the thing, man. We and see, here's the thing that we don't understand is the economic power that we do have. Those businesses that are in our communities,
yeah,
we have the power to shut them down. As Chuck D said, shut them down.
Yeah.
Because if we don't patronize them, how long you think they're gonna be there?
Right.
So don't sit there and when folks want to say, well, and we know it. The businesses, the reason why and I'll keep saying this, the reason why our dollars only spend 6 hours in our community is because we don't own the businesses in our community. Go to any other community. I dare any of y'all. Go to any other community and see if our businesses are in their community.
Yeah.
Check me, boo.
Yeah. Right.
And see if I'm telling the truth. So until we can grasp that and understand that, man, it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be, it'll things will continue to be the same.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, so we gotta understand that, man. We gotta understand that.
Absolutely agree.
That power, but Operation Breadbasket, man, was a powerful tool. And man, I'm just, none of these people that the civil rights leaders, Dr. King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Fred Hampton, Operation Breadbasket might have gone to the early 70s, maybe 71, 72. I don't even think it made it out of the 60s as well.
Okay.
But none of the people that I'm talking about, the movement, the civil rights movement, to me, ended before 1970. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I've noticed that it really, once Dr. King was assassinated in 68.
Oh yeah, the movement died with King.
Yeah, that there wasn't anything
and that's
else
something that nobody wants to talk about, but the movement died with King. And the challenge with having such an iconic figure at the center of the movement, which a part of the reason and logic behind Black Lives Matter was that Black Lives Matter was not so centrally focused that you could pick off one individual and the thing go away, right? So they attempted to kind of build a movement that was decentralized, so that
But
if
isn't
by
that
chance pick off someone, you don't kill the movement.
it? But wasn't that the civil rights movement that way too? I mean, I get it. Dr. King was the face of the movement,
Right.
you
And
know.
so because King was the face of it, Black man, when you take away that face, right, and all of the trust that that face built,
Built.
when he dies, all that's why people tripped like, oh, you killed the one. And I want to use this word. Just allow me to use the word. I'm not trying to be sacrilegious at all, but you killed Messiah. You killed the one individual that has moved the needle, the one individual that has been responsible, that gave us voice in front of presidents and kings and all, right. So you take that voice away. Nobody could speak as eloquently other than Malcolm.
Yeah.
Nobody could really speak as eloquently to multiple audiences at one time. You had white people coming from different areas to support him. Like, you take that away, you killed the movement. So you are 100% accurate, and no one wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
But there is no after. When does he die? April 4th. When does he die?
Yeah. April. Yeah. 68. April
68,
4th.
right?
68.
There's no movement in it's in that at that level, right?
Yeah.
There's no civil rights movement
Absolutely.
after that time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the sad part of it, that it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustained
Right.
to move beyond that. And I think even with on the same side with Brother Malcolm too, because the nation kind of sustained itself um beyond Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they did was, and I don't, do you know how long Minister Farrakhan has been kind of the kind of like the face of the
I don't,
nation?
man.
Because I
But I
just
would.
remember the '90s. I'm thinking my earliest recollection is the '90s when I started listening to him, and then of course with the Million Man March in '96. Um, but I don't recall, because he was around with Malcolm, of course, but I don't know if he took once once Malcolm was assassinated, if he was out of the nation by that time, but once Malcolm was left out of the nation, um, that he was kind of appointed to to that position as the spokesperson or
Some
spokeswoman
argue
for.
that he was responsible for it,
Yeah, some argue. I mean, I've heard that argument
right?
too. I can't speak one way or
I
the other.
can't
There's
speak
just been
one
a
way or
lot of,
the other to it either, but I will
yeah,
tell you that the the Black Muslim movement has thrived under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
yeah,
Uh, he is, for Black people today. Listen, you ain't gotta like him. You ain't gotta like him. You ain't gotta like some of the stuff that he says. But this is what you can never question. In the same way that you couldn't question it with King, in the same way you couldn't question it with Malcolm, in the same way you couldn't question it with Hampton, he is unapologetically for Black people,
yes, sir, yes, sir.
right? And um, one of the single most eloquent, like I could listen to that dude for hours and hours at a time.
Hmm.
Um, some would argue with me, but I think he was and is far more eloquent than even King was. King was eloquent,
Hmm.
but there's a different level of captivity that happens when this dude speaks. This he's because he comes from this whole Baptist preacher thing is a part of what he came from as well, right? So that particular ability, that ability to kind of turn a phrase and to talk and to reach, and if somebody doesn't like what he says, okay, you don't like his position on certain things. But I remember him, Leroy, doing an interview. We're gonna put the hoodies up in a couple minutes, y'all. I remember him doing an interview with Mike Wallace.
Oh yeah, yes sir, yes sir. It's been on YouTube. He ripped him a good one, didn't he? Who are you?
He said,
"Who is America?"
You should be quiet.
I was like, "That's that dude right there." Who are you? He ain't say who are we. He said, "Who are you?" You got blood on your hands just like everybody else.
Absolutely.
I was
if
like,
you guys
yes,
have
sir.
not seen that interview,
Yeah.
I want you to go look at it.
Yes, sir.
His stance, his conviction.
Yep.
I just don't see that we have had that level of conviction since King, other than
absolutely,
other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yep.
So, and let me apologize too, because I don't even want that thought out there. That I don't. Leroy said it. He said it right. I don't have any information one way or the other. I think one of the things that Black people, and of course, we are conspiracy theorists.
Mm-hmm.
We are suspicious about everything because we've been bamboozled so many times. So
who are you and who sent you?
Who are you and who sent you? Right. So I don't know any. I don't have any evidence or anything about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Malcolm. I ain't got no evidence of that. All I know is I love both of them. I highly respect both of them, and I didn't agree with everything that either of them say. I didn't agree with everything, but you can't be a leader and be challenged with somebody that disagrees with you. I mean, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's a part of what happens, right? So
but that was the thing. Leadership welcomes that challenge because it forces them to do. It's just like man, real quick. I mean, I know we got to put the hoodies up, but there's a part in Selma, the movie Selma, where Dr. King is talking to President Lyndon Johnson, and Lyndon Johnson, President Lyndon Johnson is trying to convince Dr. King, can we wait? Let this wait. And Dr. King's like, no, it can't wait. And he's like, well, and President Lyndon Johnson says, well, what do you want me to do? He says, sir, you are the president of these United States. I was like, Dr. King, just like you were talking about Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Dr. King stood there too. It's like, no, we're not going to allow you to just push this back as you've always done.
For sure.
No, you have the power to do it.
And here's the deal. He didn't argue with him. He just kind of put his head
sure
down.
Didn't. He said, hey.
He put his head down and went downstairs and say, we march.
That's what we do.
Ain't no need for me to stand up there and argue with that man. He's taking his position. We take hours. We go.
Let's go do what we got to do.
We got to do what we got to do.
Yes, sir.
Let's put the hoodies up.
Yes, sir.
We don't know what time it is.
We done already put the hoodie. We done already had to talk without the hoodies
for the last 20 minutes. But we ain't late. This is what happens when you own the podcast. We own the podcast. You colors don't own this podcast. we own this podcast. Nodella, you colors don't own this podcast. We own this podcast.
We done gone from colors to Negro to the N word and to African American and Native. I think it's either another word that they didn't come up with. I don't know. I'm just like, no, just call me what I am. Call me a black man,
Black
as
man.
Malcolm said. Call me a black man. That's what I am.
Say it loud.
You know.
Hey, Leroy, I do wanna I'm in this period, right? So I want everyone just to kind of travel with me on this journey. That I'm gonna talk through in public with Leroy. We did it yesterday. I coach
Yeah,
through
that was a great
some
session
dealing
yesterday
with,
too, man. That was
right?
great.
And today, as a natural part of the brotherhood, Leroy, talk a bit about, before I go into it, like talk a bit about how the brotherhood works, right? So I'm the founder of Remand, but don't nobody care that I'm the founder of Remand. Like we really are one brotherhood. There's no what my mom used to call big eyes, little U's. We don't have that kind of culture. We have a culture where even as founder of the organization and this particular movement, that you do it anyway because you my older brother. You'll do it anyway, right? But a brother Dwight is new, right? He's new to Remand University. Shout out to brother Dwight. Saw his work today that he put inside Remand University. Congratulations, man. Good work. Um, he has the right as my brother to check me, right? To feel empowered to check me because the movement is bigger than Donald Morton. The movement is bigger than Leroy McKenzie Jr. The movement isn't us. We dare not want to happen with Remand what has happened with so many other movements that come before Remand. So talk a bit about, man, before I share, talk a bit about the importance of the culture of Remand. Like there are no big eyes and little U's inside Remand. It really is everybody love and respect everybody inside the culture of our organization.
Yeah, and that's the power of culture. That's the power of having a culture is this kind of culture, and culture is nothing more than these three things. And I liken it to a business that has a brand, and it's what you create within your organization, within who you are around, and it's the feel that people get, the feel that you create. And Donald created that with his vision that he has of Remain, and that what he wants to feel of the brothers that come into Remain. It's a, hey, we want you to know and understand that this is a place, this is a space where you are surrounded by other brothers who are flawed. There's not one of us that is not flawed.
For sure, bro.
So if you come in here with the entitlement, with mindset, ego,
You're gonna get
all of that stuff,
embarrassed. You're gonna get
yeah, you
embarrassed.
gonna get embarrassed quick, fast, in a hurry, cause this ain't it. We done told y'all, just like this podcast, 5 blocks down, look for the green awning, make a left. That's where we gonna send you. As a Remand, we gonna tell you that's where you can go, because that's not what happens in within the Remand organization,
Right,
within this culture.
right.
That's the culture that we cultivate here is one of respect. Don, he says it all the time, love and
Absolutely.
respect.
Absolutely.
That's what it's grounded in. We love our brother, we respect our brother, each
Absolutely.
of us. That's the code up in here, up in
Up
here.
in here, up in here. Yeah, yeah, that is absolutely the code up in here, up in here. Um, um, Leroy, today, man, I'm in such a I'm not in a bad mood, right? So let me just kind of clarify something. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm not in a sad mood, but I am in a sober one. Like I can. You ever have moments, man, where uh so, for example, I faced the arc yesterday, have been facing it about some things that are just really, really serious to me right now. And a part of what I've discovered is that I have not um, done a good job at authenticity and transparency. When there's something that has bothered me, I don't. I haven't always spoken up about it, right? I'll attempt to kind of really deal with it myself, face the character arc, make sure, because I think one of the things that um I'm always cognizant of, bruh, is I do my best not to play the blame game. Like, I don't like the blame game. I don't like making my feelings someone else's responsibility, because they're not. My feelings are my responsibility. That's the first. If I were to show everybody the character arc, the lower left hand side of the arc, responsibility is stage one. Can you take extreme ownership over your life? And today, man, I've been. Can y'all handle this level of transparency? If you can't, then y'all know what to do. I ain't even gonna say what Leroy say. I'm just gonna point. Y'all know Leroy said it. I'm just gonna point. If you can't handle this level of transparency that I'm about to bring to you, because I don't want. I hate when people force I hate when. I gotta be careful how I say it. I don't like it when people feel like they have to show up and be okay every day. Right? I hate when Black men feel like I gotta show up and I ain't got no emotions. I don't have days where, you know, I cry, or days where I get angry, or days where I'm sad or I'm frustrated, whatever the case may be. I hate it when brothers feel like they have to show up that way, because you have to present this image, this facade that everything is okay. And the only way that you can be trusted to lead your family, to lead a department, to lead your business, to lead your own personal life is absent and void emotion. Right. So for me, I am not absent and void emotion today. Tell you what I'm gonna do, Leroy. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. This is on my wall. This is the feelings wheel. This is the feelings wheel. So on my wall, right? And so I will tell you that today. So on this feelings wheel, Leroy, right? You have in this inner circle, which is the lazy circle, right? The lazy circle. This is the second day where we coaching. The lazy circle is the circle that we typically would always we're familiar with those terms. So when someone asks you how you feel, these are the easy things to say. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm afraid, right? Those are easy things to say. What we try to get brothers to do is to not be emotionally lazy, right? Emotional laziness is a real problem with brothers because we've been trained to avoid and ignore our emotions. Correct. So when someone says, "Hey man, how do you feel about it?" Normally we don't even go to an emotion. Normally we go to a story, and in hopes that our story will tell someone how we are feeling. I want to train brothers today to genuinely go with what you feel. Go with what you feel. So so sadness, the next level, Leroy, is guilty, abandoned, despair, depressed, lonely, and bored. Right? The next one is all out of sadness is remorseful, ashamed, ignored, victimized, powerless, vulnerable, inferior, empty, abandoned, isolated, apathetic, indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
So for I'm in a space right now while we're on this show where I feel really empty and inferior. So many of you might ask the question like why do you feel empty or inferior? I don't know. That's a part of the work that I've got to do. What I want to help people to understand is that when you address your feelings have validity to them, right? And your feelings having validity to them, Leroy, means that I don't have to act on that feeling. I just have to investigate that feeling, right? I've got to give permission for that feeling to be true. So I go through a process where I ask myself, why am I feeling empty? Like, what is that about? Right? And the investigation of that feeling of emptiness, somebody type this in the chat for me. Feelings are horrible navigators. In other words, they don't tell you the way you should go, but they are perfect locators. That is what feelings are designed to do. They're designed to locate you. They're not designed to navigate for you. They're designed to locate you. You can't trust your feelings to be acted upon. You can't trust your feelings to be acted upon. Feelings are horrible navigators, but they are perfect locators. You can investigate, okay, right now in this moment, this is how I'm feeling. And I really need to figure it out. Right? Feelings are horrible navigators, but they are perfect locators. Leroy, what would you say about that, man? About that phrase? Feeling, do you agree? Do you disagree? Feelings are horrible navigators. They don't show us the way we should go because feelings are fleeting. They're unstable. They don't last all the time. So when we act out of emotion or act out of feelings without investigating those feelings, we do ourselves tremendous disservice.
I agree with you, but I liken what you're talking about to a GPS system.
Yes.
Your feelings are a part of the way to guide you to the destination that you're trying to get to. You talk about this all the time. What's the thought behind the feeling?
Absolutely.
What's triggering the feeling? Because there's something that's triggering the feeling.
Talk, Leroy. Work that arc, boy. Work that arc, Negro.
So you gotta get. I told you I'm listening, bro. I told you I've been listening. But you've got to get to the thought, because the thought is what's bringing about the feeling, and then the feeling will create the belief that you have, and the belief. I'll let you finish about the belief and the actions that
you act every single time on a belief that you have, but you have a right to choose whether or not that belief that you've adopted, and all a belief is a codified thought. It is an unchecked thought. It is when you allow thoughts to go over and over again in your mind, when you allow thoughts to rule your space and you don't check them, you don't pat them down, you don't investigate them, and you allow those thoughts to continue, they codify, they crystallize. And a crystallized thought is called a belief. It is something that you've allowed to go unchecked. You've ruminated over it over and over again until it's become a belief. And now you act like what you believe. For those of you that are Christians, it's all throughout the scripture. All you got to do is look at Mark chapter 11. It's all throughout the scripture. For those of you that are not Christians, if you have a more new age and nuanced belief system, it's okay for you too. Your thoughts determine your feelings. Your feelings create these beliefs, because if I don't investigate the feeling, I'm going to think that what I'm feeling based on the thought that I've had that created the feeling is true. And if I adopt it as true, I'm going to codify it. I'm going to crystallize it, and I'm going to act like it. So that's why a person that acts a certain way is because they have not interrupted any one of those three things. And by the way, any one of those three things can be interrupted at any time. Any one of those three things. So me feeling empty, I haven't even addressed it. Live and in living color on the Grown Man podcast was the first time that I've just really looked at, hey, why am I feeling this way? What is that about? Why am I feeling this way? And let me check it before it crystallizes. Right? Let me check it before it crystallizes, because once a feeling of emptiness crystallizes, another word for it is boredom. Once a feeling of emptiness or boredom crystallizes, we talk about this all the time. The most dangerous place for a man is contentment and boredom. Because when we are bored, we begin to burn our lives down. We begin to make dumb decisions simply because we're bored and we're in need of some sense of excitement or something to go along with it. Leroy, talk about it, man.
Nah, you were so right on point with that, man. And see, that's where we as brothers have got to get to, because we've been conditioned since we were little baby boys to not deal with our feelings. We've been conditioned to suppress our feelings, to ignore our feelings,
Yes.
to not think about the thought behind the feelings.
Yes.
And so as we, as we go into, you were saying that the feeling of emptiness or the feeling of boredom, okay, having to understand that and to go deeper. Most people want to just remain surface level.
Mm-hmm.
They really do that, because if they have to go below the surface, they don't want to do. Unfortunately, they don't want to do that work. Yeah. Because as I've said before, the pandemic it exposed so many people. Yes. It exposed us as human beings. Yes. And how we don't want to deal with our feelings, or how we constantly and consistently hide from our feelings. We couldn't go outside. Didn't have to go out to work in order to be able to get from having to deal with what was in the home. And a lot of people found out, and I say this, a lot of people found out, one, that they did not like some of the people that they were dealing with. Some people even found out that they didn't like their kids. Yes. Yeah. And then some people found out that the people that they were in relationships with, I don't like you. You're not a good person. Yeah. You're not and even with themselves, having to tell themselves, you're not a good person. So most of us don't want to. We were able to escape it. We were able to, because of the day-to-day rigmarole that we were able to go to work. We were able to go to happy hour. We were able to hang out with our friends and act as if nothing was wrong, like you were saying. But when it comes to having to, we call it, when we coming to face the ark and having to face yourself and ask yourself the deeper questions to figure it out, we don't want to do that.
Right.
We shy away from it.
Right.
But here in Remain, we force you to do it. We force you to sit right there.
Absolutely.
Look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? Yeah, I flawed and all. I have some work to do that I have to do on me.
Because here's the deal, and I think you bring up a great point, right? Here's the deal. Your authentic self is both light and dark. Your authentic self is not just light. It's not just good all the time. The word integrity is a word that comes from the word integrated or integral, right? It means to bring all of the pieces together. It means to be whole. To be whole means that there are some parts of me that are a part of who I am that are not so cool in everybody else's eyes, but I've embraced them. Right. And I think we spend a whole lot of time attempting to take away from a person's authenticity when it doesn't fit what everybody else feels like is socially normal. So for those of you that are watching, you might say, Donald, are you on air telling us you feel empty today? Yeah. I want to normalize a brother expressing himself. And I also want to normalize how to handle someone who is expressing himself. Because if you don't, let me tell you, sisters, what I need you not to do. Facebook user says, we got the hoodies up. This Facebook user got the mask on. We don't know who you are. Leroy, what's the questions?
Who are
you?
And who
sent you? Man, I went through that process several years ago. It was very difficult at first because you had to really see yourself at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not easy.
Thank you for that. Thank you for expressing that level of authenticity and vulnerability. Yes, it is. It's very difficult. Let me use another word that we have to learn to embrace these different emotions. Like, it's easy to say it was difficult. I want to know whether it was scary. Right? I want to know whether it was embarrassing, whether were you afraid? What was it? Let's replace that word difficult and let's choose another word. And here's why. I want to share with ladies how to handle a brother who is attempting to share with you. When a brother is attempting to share with you, he's finally developed the courage, of course, because Leroy knows I hate safe spaces. I hate the term. I just absolutely hate the term. Because safe space denotes that I'm giving you power to create a space for me. If you don't create a space for me, I'm still courageous enough to step into the space. I don't know what any of you are going to say about today's podcast. Did you know Donald was on there talking about his feelings?
You know how they do,
right? Donald on there talking about his feelings.
He's soft.
He's soft.
He's soft. Donald's soft.
I don't know what you're going to say, and check this out. I don't care. I don't. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I perform for an audience of one. There's only one person I'm concerned about his thoughts about me, and that's the one that made me. So, ladies, when your dude comes to you, when he develops the courage, right now inside Remand, we tell him to develop the courage, even if you don't create a safe space, even if you don't create a Delilah's lap for him. I need you to create a space for him. But even if you don't, we tell him you still got to be authentic. You still got to step into it. You still got to lean into it, which is a part of the reason why on day one, we force him to do some things that are the most uncomfortable things you could ever do. But once he shares with you what he's feeling, don't then turn around his feelings and make him responsible for how you feel. Because he just developed the courage to tell you how he feels. And believe it or not, he's concerned about how his feelings are going to make you feel. So usually when he doesn't talk about his feelings, it's because he's concerned about how his feelings are going to make you feel. So he would much rather just be quiet and deal with it internally, or with the feelings we'll cause in an isolated way. Right? So give him space, let him hold space for him, affirm him. I ain't doing all that for no grown man. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. But don't keep coming to us with this BS about black men don't talk. Miss
Mhm.
me with all of that. We do talk, and many of us, most have not gone through the process that we put men through. So you only get one shot with most guys, right? So if you don't create space for him to be able to deal with what he's feeling, and you come for him, or you try to clown him, or you invalidate him, you go through all of that, he ain't gonna tell you again.
Not at all.
He ain't gonna tell
And
you
and
again.
I was watching this reel, and I forgot the name of the podcast, but they have it's usually a panel of folks, right? And they go around. I guess they go around, around the country or whatever, and have these shows and stuff. But this particular reel, this lady gets up and stands up and says, "What do you do when your dude or your guy is seems to be softer than you?"
Mm.
And you heard the audience, ooh, and this one brother, he is always on point. This brother
I think I know where you
always
from. Bearded brother.
brings, yeah, deep
Yeah,
brother, love the
yeah,
brother.
yeah.
He's deep. But he said, you know what? He said, it's interesting when we have these conversations. We talk about men being soft or being soft and everything like that. But he said to that sister, he said, or to the audience as a whole, he said, if a man can't be, to the ladies, if a man can't be most vulnerable with you, his lady, then who can he be soft with?
Who he got?
I was like, this brother,
Who he got?
I said, yes, sir. If I can't be soft, I can't be the most vulnerable with the woman that I'm laying next to, that I'm being that intimate with. And he said, where I've got to always be hard. He was like, I don't want to have to come home after being hard, having to be hard with the world, and have to be hard with you too. I got to keep my defenses up with you too. He said, he said, if you're with a man that is hard all the time, it will drive him crazy. So
Say it
we
one
have
more time,
to,
bro.
yeah, if we as men have to understand that we cannot be hard all the time. Yes, are there places and times for all of that?
The majority
Absolutely.
of the time we are. The
Yeah.
majority of the time we are, right? But there are moments where I tell brothers all the time, when for example, when my mom passed, yeah, I had to give myself permission to let my heart break.
Hmm.
Right? I had to give myself permission to let my heart break.
Yep.
A vulnerable space. I had to literally sink on the night that she transitioned, sink in my chair while my family held me up. When I first went to the funeral home to see during inspection time, and
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
her laying there, I crumbled.
Yeah.
I
It's
laid in my niece's lap and cried for, I know, 20 minutes.
yeah. Yeah.
I didn't need, there's a part of me, the little boy in me, the one
Yes,
that
sir.
was
Yes, sir.
raised by that woman in that casket, that little boy needed to express himself.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't care less, Leroy, that I was the leader of Remain. I couldn't care
Yep.
less. I couldn't care less about any of that stuff. I needed to give myself permission to emote.
Hmm.
And when you have a man in your life, Crystal Fendi Styles Clark, good morning. When you have a man in your life that you don't give space for him, for all of him, that's
Yep.
the language we're looking for, Leroy. For
Mm.
all of him. He
Yes,
is
sir.
not just
Yep.
Hall.
Correct. Yes,
Even though
sir.
that's what he shows you that to protect you and himself from these different social norms that suggest he got to be hard all the time.
Yep.
So he's protecting himself. He's protecting you from a part of him that may make you question his ability to lead and and to be protector and provider and all of these things that I believe we should be. But when I don't show up that way and I show up hard all the time, like I got it all together all the time, I am doing that to protect my image, because if I show you the real me, then you might think I'm incapable of doing the things that God has called me to do as a man. So if he doesn't and I just don't like this whole thing about give him permission. You ain't got to give me permission. Yeah, you ain't got to give me permission. I'm endeavoring to do it. But there are moments where I say to myself, how is this going to be received? And if I don't feel like it's going to be received well from whomever, right? From whomever, then I don't share. And when I don't share, I'm not necessarily, because there's some agility to authenticity, which simply means that when I'm authentic, I reserve the right to make a decision about how I show up. I have a right to do that. Crystal said, I missed 2 days. What's up? Yeah, you have.
Where you been? Where you been?
Where you been?
Yeah, man. This not feeling it thing, this being vulnerable thing, this courageous thing. We gonna like see this goes back to what I was telling you earlier about the language, bro. You have another brother that says soft. Are you now gonna say, well, he can't use that language? Because it's the language. We've got to understand the language and what words matter. Definitions matter. It goes to what you were saying about expressing our feelings.
Yeah.
And how you express your feelings and show up. So ladies, when that brother is in a space where you see he's not feeling it and he's going through something, whatever that something is, create the area where he doesn't have to feel like, well, if I do this, she's going to see me in a different light. She's going to see me in a different way.
Right, Leroy.
She's not going to think that I'm the
pause and give them permission to think about that. Y'all don't really understand, but that's on our mind. Like, she's going to see me in a different light.
Yep.
And because we're so image driven as brothers, we don't want you to see us in a different light.
Yeah. And this has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. We've been taught this as men. We really have. And it has become, it is a part of our fabric, and so as we are learning to be and show our feelings and our emotions, hopefully you can, as women, you can understand on the other side of that. Yeah, I'm going to show you that I'm not going to hold this against you. I'm not going to throw it back up at another time to you, or call you soft, or say you are less of a man because you decided to show your vulnerability. Be embracing of that brother, saying, you know what, I understand, babe. Yeah, let's talk about that.
And it doesn't even have to be all intimate relationships, right? It can be
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Friendships. It can be
yep.
Family members. Like give that man in your life, whoever that man is, hold space for him and still make sure he feels like a king.
Yeah, and bro, I remember one of my closest friends, and we've been friends since college, man. And he passed away several years ago, but he had a bad heart. And so he was in the hospital at this time. And so I'm down at the hospital and we just sitting around and we talking. And I'm asking him because I genuinely didn't know. I'm like, what's going on, man? And so, he was talking about different things. And I was just like, they don't know. He was like, I got a bad heart. And I could tell that irritated him. And it was me not sitting in that space and understanding that he was hurting.
You talking good, bro.
Because he was just, I got this situation that I'm dealing with. I don't even know what he didn't have an answer for it. And me not recognizing that in that moment. It's like, all right, you know how we do. Oh yeah, let's just get to it and fix it. What's the problem? We go fix it. That's what we do as men.
Right.
But this was something that he couldn't fix. This was something that he didn't have the answer to. And he had to, when I'm gone and when he didn't have anybody, that he had to sit with that.
He had to sit with it.
And so when he said that, and I saw the brashness in his way, I got a bad heart, and he was upset, and I was like, ooh, I was like, yeah, and in that moment, I wasn't that brother, that caring brother that I should have been in that moment to say, you know what, yeah, I got you, bro. We have to be willing to be able to have that kind of compassion and vulnerability within ourselves. Whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it is, like you said, whether it's a significant other, whatever that position is, take a minute and allow that brother to be able to express himself. And where he feels comfortable enough to say, yeah, bro, like, and I love the song by Kirk Franklin and Bishop T.D. Jakes, 911. And he's like, yeah, can you get Bishop on the phone? And the first thing he said, Bishop, I got some things I need to talk to you about. That should be us, where we're allowing ourselves to be, all right, bro, what's going on?
And that has to be, we gotta take the hoodies off, y'all. We won't go long today, but that has to be your position. I need every single sister to kind of hear me when I say this, every single brother to hear me when I say this. When a brother develops the courage to be authentic, to be transparent, we don't like the word vulnerable, but I want to use it, to be vulnerable.
Right.
And you make that moment about you, where he now feels like the only way that he can express himself is as a precursor to you feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, he'll stop expressing himself.
Yep. He'll shut down.
And when he does, there has to be an outlet. So a part of what we try to do at Remain is hold space for brothers. Because I can't tell you how many dudes say, if she won't hold space for me, I know a woman that will.
Yep. And ladies,
and so what we tell him is, bruh, that exacerbates the problem. That may make you feel good right now.
Yep.
But that exacerbates the problem.
Yes, sir.
So let me hold space for you as a man, as a brother. I ain't interested in you. I don't want nothing from you. I don't think you cute. Right? So let me hold space for you as a man. Let me let you get it out. Let's talk it through. You safe with me, my guy. You safe with me. Right? But a lot of times what we do is be careful of these words. Me too. Because the tables are about to turn. You know what? I feel empty today. You know what? Me too. The tables just turned. You just made it about you. I haven't gotten 5 seconds into the conversation about how I feel.
Yep. And it's all right.
It's now all about you. So let me just be quiet about how I feel. Let's talk about how you feel.
Yep.
So I'm begging y'all, We gonna still show up. I believe we still have to show up. I ain't feel like coming on here today. I felt like texting Leroy, say, man, you got it. I don't know what you're gonna do to talk for an hour. You good. You because he knows how to do it. He would be fine. But I said, no, I gotta show up. I gotta do what I've got to do. And maybe me being on here and making myself courageous enough to be vulnerable will help someone in the process. And clearly it did, because here's a brother who said he felt this when he was dealing with it. It was embarrassing. It was uncomfortable. Nakedness, lonely are the emotions I felt. And I think that's a brother. I don't want to take for granted that that's a brother. Somebody tell me who that is. I need your name.
Something.
Because that's a powerful cathartic moment. There's a chapter in the book, chapter 35, something like that. Let that shit out.
That's that mirror, bro.
Leroy wouldn't let me keep the shit, so it's SH #T or something like that. He wouldn't let me keep. He working on me, y'all. He working on me, right? But catharsis is necessary.
Yes, sir.
Find yourself a room where you can go break something. Find yourself a room where you can throw bottles. I used to tell brothers,
places.
Go outside. I used to tell brothers, Leroy, go to the dollar store, get 10 plates, $1 each, spend $10 and just go into some abandoned parking lot and break them. Throw them against a wall, scream out loud, whatever you've got to do. Catharsis is necessary to healing. Yeah. But when we keep all this stuff bottled up because we're trying to impress somebody, listen, I'm so over trying to impress people. As long as God's good with me, that's the work I'm doing right now. I'm good.
That's it.
So Leroy, it's 11:31. We got to get out of here, man. Great show today. Hopefully you guys were helped. Kevin Hart said, laugh at my pain. It don't matter. It don't matter to me. Thank y'all for holding space for me today. Thank you, Leroy, for holding space for me today. You my guy.
Yes, sir. That's what we do.
You know, you coming up, picking cotton and all those things that you did that you had to do as right. All the things that you had to do, man, to make a way for us.
Those hands that used to pick cotton now pick presidents.
Right. Leroy used to pick cotton. And if you look at some of those videos real carefully, you see hoses on him and stuff like that. He survived. So I want to thank him for holding space for me. I don't know anything about those times, but he has lived through those times. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr.
You sick, bro. You sick.
I'm just
he need help for real, yo. He need help for real.
I'm just saying, I'm grateful for Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. In fact, let me do this because I think I'm gonna take a picture of us, Leroy, screenshot, man. Let's see. Okay, did. Leroy, it's good talking with you today, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, this is always good, man. So we hope we help some brothers to understand. Yeah. You know, when you're not feeling it and how to handle the vulnerability and being in a safe and feeling safe. And those that ladies, please, create that environment where a brother can come and talk to you.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Listen to me, y'all. We love y'all. We respect y'all. What's going on here? Okay, there we go. We love y'all. We respect y'all. We will see y'all tomorrow. Same back time, same back station. Crystal, you're going to have to go back and look at it. It was too much to cover for us to kind of give you a recap. So go back and check it out. and comment. Let us know what you're thinking about it as you go through the podcast. Hey, y'all, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.